This is Jackanory Antarctica. Slime by David Walliams, Part 1. We start with the prologue, a brief history of slime. Slime is one of the greatest mysteries of the world, if not the greatest. It beats the creation of Stonehenge, laughs in the face of the power of the pyramids, and takes a giant slimy plop on the Loch Ness Monster. Slime. What is it? Where is it? Who is it? How is it? And why is it? Children demand to know where slime came from, and grown-ups are desperate to know if it's going back. For the first time in history, the legend of slime can finally be told. All will be revealed in this book, which might be the most important book ever written. Some experts believe that slime dates back billions of years. Their theory is that when the Earth was created, it was nothing more than a sea of slime. Out of that slime came more slime, and out of that slime came more slime, and out of that slime came more slime. Then, of course, out of that slime came even more slime. It remained buried under the Earth for billions of years, until now. Others suppose that at the dawn of time, a giant meteor of slime crash-landed into the Earth. On impact, billions of gallons of slime exploded into the air, covering every living thing in thick slime. This explains why the dinosaurs died out. They got slimed. There is another theory that many years ago, slime-based aliens from a slime-based planet, the planet Slime, flew in a slime-based spaceship to our Earth. Once on Earth, they taught ancient civilizations all about slime, how to construct buildings out of slime, the best recipes to cook with slime, and most importantly, how to make socks out of slime. Then, the slime-based aliens got in their slime-based spaceship and whizzed back to their slime-based planet, the planet Slime. And they never came back. But they left the secret of slime with the human race, so children could torment grown-ups with it forever. The truth is rather different. Slime was actually created more than 50 years ago on a remote island, the Isle of Mulch, to be precise. It is situated in the middle of the great north-east-south-western sea, between the islands of Twaddle and Stench. How do I know all this? Because I just made it up. Chapter 1. Mulch. The little Isle of Mulch was home to less than 1,000 people. 999 to be precise. I told you it was less than 1,000. One of these 999 people was a boy named Ned. Ned wasn't short for anything. He was just called Ned. Ned was 11 years old. He'd been born on Mulch and, like most islanders, had never left. To say Ned was just an ordinary boy would be wrong. He wasn't ordinary, he was extraordinary. Ned had been born with legs that didn't work. He couldn't walk at all, so was found a battered old rusty wheelchair and he learnt to use it. The boy could often be seen whizzing around the island doing stunts and wheelies to delight his friends. "I got the zoomies!" he would cry as he whizzed past. Home for Ned was a tiny weather-beaten old cottage. The cottage perched on the edge of the cliff overlooking the raging sea that surrounded the island. From dawn until dusk, Ned's mother and father were out of the house at work. Dad was a fisherman, so was always away at sea on his fishing boat. Mum sold the fish Dad caught at the island's market. The only fish you could catch around the Isle of Mulch were called shoe fish. They were fish shaped like shoes. They tasted like shoes too. The overriding flavour was foot sweat. But the locals became used to the taste, disgusting though it was. They had no choice. Now, needless to say, both Ned's parents absolutely stank of fish. But Ned didn't see or even smell much of them, as the pair were always working. Instead, the boy was left home alone with his older sister, Jemima. Jemima resented Ned deeply. She might have been the older one, but it was her younger brother who got all the attention. The girl wore pretty little flowery dresses with huge steel-capped boots, and she wasn't afraid to use them. Ned's aunt owned the Isle of Mulch. She was his mother's much older sister, and her name was Greta Greed. High on a hill overlooking the whole island squatted Kitty Litter Castle, a huge medieval fortress that the lady called home. It was a world away from the tiny little cottage that Ned shared with his family. Greed lived there alone, which is how she liked it. Her only company was her 101 cats. These cats were fearsome beasts. She had them to scare away nasty little children. The lady loathed children, especially her poor nephew Ned. Aunt Greta never ever did a thing to help him. For her, children ruined the Isle of Mulch, with their games, their chatter, and worst of all, their stench. Aunt Greta should be the last person to complain about the smell, as she stank of cat pee. Because Aunt Greta owned the entire island, she had power over all those who lived there. The lady rewarded those grown-ups on Mulch who detested children as much as she did. One such man was Sir Walter Ralph. He was a nasty old wretch whom Greed had made headmaster of the only school on the island, Mulch School for Revolting Children. The only thing that gave Ralph pleasure was expelling children from his school. Like so many others, Ned had suffered that fate. There was one toy shop on the island. Greed had given care of it to twin brothers Edmund and Edmund Envy, who named this shop Envy's Emporium. But it was nothing more than a front for terrorising children. Ned had had a particularly nasty time when he'd last visited. Another resident of Mulch was Madame Silenzio Sloth. The lady was supposed to be a piano teacher, but she was too lazy to teach children anything. Sloth was a virtuoso of cruelty. Ned had the misfortune of being one of her pupils, and when he dared to complain, all hell broke loose. Captain Pride was an uptight ex-soldier whom Greed had appointed Mulch's park keeper. The captain ensured no one could ever enjoy the island's only public park, especially not little children like Ned. Ice cream sellers Glenn and Glenda Glutton made sure children never got to enjoy an ice cream ever. The married couple zoomed around the island in their van, looking for children to rob. They took their pocket money and they sped off without giving them their ice cream. If the Gluttons had lived anywhere else in the world other than Mulch, they would have been locked away up in prison and the key would have been thrown away. However, Greed delighted in their scam and ensured the pair were never brought to justice, even when they stole from her own nephew, Ned. So this little island was home to a large number of horrible grown-ups. But there was a child on the island who was probably as bad. Poor Ned was related to her. It was his sister. Chapter 2. A Beastly Girl. Ned's sister Jemima liked nothing more than playing horrid tricks on her little brother. Tricks that made the girl snigger to herself all day and all night. It wasn't a nice snigger, it was a nasty snigger, as if she knew she was beastly. The tricks were absolutely foul, dropping wiggly worms down the back of her little brother's pyjamas. Yikes! Replacing Ned's toothpaste with glue so his teeth stuck together. Emptying the jar of his favourite marmalade and replacing it with mashed up wasps. Yuck! Painting everything in her little brother's room bright purple. The walls, the floor, the ceiling, his clothes and toys, even his pet gerbil. No! Hiding a big furry spider at the end of his bed so it nibbled his toes. Ah, yow! Dusting the toilet seat with chili powder so the boy's body was too hotty. Swapping Ned's favourite chocolate-coated raisins with gerbil droppings. Yeah! breaking wind into an old wooden box for a week, then opening it in Ned's bedroom so that he would suffer the phantasmagoria. However, all this was nothing compared to the nightmarish trick Jemima was planning for her little brother. And we'll find out what that is in part 2. But for now, good night.